under how they're created every year for 60 days. The Florida legislature meets to create laws, to introduce bills, and also to vote on them to pass them. Today, I'm here with Dr. Nancy Lawther, who will give us a quick legislative brief before the 2021 session that's about to start in March. Nancy, welcome and good afternoon.
Thank you.
And what kind of bills are being proposed that being sought to become law?
Well, we have a lot of controversy. A lot of controversial bills. There are bills with respect to COVID, of course. There is one to reduce business liability. There's another to reduce healthcare provider liability. There's a very controversial bill with respect to protests and municipal control over police departments. Another controversial bill that would combine current educational scholarship programs and would broaden their outreach and expanse. There are bills that deal with adult use of marijuana. So I think you've had some guests on that topic. With respect to your last guest, there are bills on craft breweries and whether post-COVID we can continue the tradition of getting cocktails delivered to our doors. There's a very controversial bill with respect to abortion. And there are a ton of bills that will preempt local authorities, whether they're municipalities or seaports or airports and so forth, and another slew of bills that would remove preemption. So we are just before the legislative session begins, which is on March 2nd, but there are committee weeks that come before that. We are in week 4 of committee week out of 5. And next week is the very last committee week. I am going to be up in Tallahassee next week and we'll be speaking on one of these controversial bills in education. But
can you tell us a little bit about what's going on with education, specifically the move for choice?
And this is Senate Bill 48. It does not yet have a companion bill in the House, but it will at some point. And this would basically take the 5 different programs that deal with educational scholarships and combine them into 2. At the same time, it expands the range of students that would be eligible for these particular scholarships.
And how does that affect the taxpayers?
There is a move to put everything through the budget in Florida. Previously, companies might choose to contribute to a nonprofit organization, which would then fund these particular scholarships. One of the big changes in this bill this year is to fund it directly out of the state budget under a special category.
It would go from contributed base, specifically those that wanted to contribute to the fund, to mandating that taxpayers pay?
In essence, monies that a corporation might owe, whether corporate taxes, excise taxes, direct pay, and so forth, would not go to a third-party organization, would go directly to the state, which would direct it into a K through 12 funding trust, and these scholarships would be paid out of that trust. So in essence, monies that if it were paid in taxes could be used for anything, any need, housing, healthcare, education, and so forth, will be directed specifically to this K-12 education trust that will be used to pay for scholarships.
So if our audience wanted to find out more about what bills have been filed, where can they get a hold of you? Because you are the legislative maven of the county.
Well, they can reach out to me at nancy@neweraalliances.com. And they can also reach me at 786-353-3070. So welcome any comment and any questions.
Outstanding. And I must, for all of you watching, I must say New Era Alliances is a company that Nancy and I have founded. It's a niche boutique service to provide, actually to seek good governance through, in great part, public education. So I look forward to having you on more shows, certainly as the legislative session begins. When does the legislative, what are the dates of the legislative session?
March
for
2nd.
2021?
March 2nd.
To what?
Until April 30th.
Outstanding. So let's stay in touch. Let's make sure that we know what bills are being proposed, and what certainly is going to pass and how it's going to affect us. Remember, the legislators work for us. We don't work for them, but we need to let them know what we want them to propose for us to be able to have better governance. Thank you all.